Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me today Dr. Stan Harris. Dr. Stan Harris is a fascinating person because he has a background that probably none of us will ever have. He is a theologian. He has a PhD in theology. He also is I'm going to have you explain this, Stan, late in a moment, but he is a black belt martial arts person, but at the top level of that. And I think top 1% about?
Yes, 10th degree, grandmaster.
10th degree in martial arts, amazing. And he has a business that looks at how do you break through your mindset, things that keep you from really achieving and doing the things that you want. And so much of us, when we're looking at building a legacy, it's that mindset. What we're going to do next depends upon what is really here in our minds. So with that, Dr. Stan, I am going to let you get started. Tell us what started you on this journey, and what is it that you do?
Well, first of all, Lois, I want to say again, I appreciate you and what you're doing to make a difference in people's lives, because there's so much negativity going on today. There's so much, hopelessness. There's so much confusion. There's so much hate. There's so much discourse. And so to have someone like you that's doing what you can do to make a difference, we need more people like you that are doing that. So I want to thank you for that, because in my field of work, I find out, Lois, a lot of people have good ideas, but they talk themselves out of it. And I was that way for many, many years. And that's why I love what I do now, because instead of talking myself out of good things, now I've learned to talk myself into the things that are going to serve me and those that I'm here to serve. So originally I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Not my beautiful wife and I, we now live just north of Dallas, Texas, about an hour. But so at 3 years of age, my dad left, never came home, never called, never sent mom a dime. And unfortunately, at 6 years of age, I was out in the middle of a field playing. We lived in the ghettos, a real rough section of town. And a gang of teenagers came our way. Now, Lois, I don't know if you ever had your body give you signals that something bad's about to happen, but it's like signals went off. But I was so afraid, literally, I was paralyzed by my fear. And I teach people today, you can either be paralyzed by your fear like I was, or you can learn to be propelled by your fear. Like a little later on in life, we got chased by a dog, and I was so grateful for a car being close by, right? But I think I could outrun Usain Bolt when a dog's after me. But anyway, at that time I was paralyzed by my fear. And I meet so many people like that. And so I never even never tried to run. I was like, I froze in my tracks, right? It's a possibility I could have gotten away. I don't know, and I'll never know because I never gave it a shot. But at any rate, imagine this, a 6-year-old boy, and a guy hits me in the stomach, bam, knocks the air out of me like you try to breathe, can't breathe, and again, I'm a 6-year-old boy, and my mind is like, what did I do? Why? And I'm crying out, Mom, help, and so they start to just punch all over me, and literally one of them picked me up and slammed me on the ground. And so again, excruciating pain. And then they start stomping all over me and kicking all over me. And literally, I'm bleeding from everywhere you can bleed. And again, I'm a 6-year-old boy. I'm crying out. I'm screaming. I'm hurting. And I'm bleeding from everywhere you can bleed. And still, that wasn't enough for these guys. They flipped me over on my back where I'm faced up. And one of them took a great big old bucket of tar and poured it on my face. They poured it on my body, took a bunch of feathers. They threw them on me and literally left me there out in the middle of the field. Thank God somebody finally found me, rushed me to the hospital, got me taken care of. But I remember as a 6-year-old boy, in my mind, first of all, I couldn't figure out what's so wrong with me that all this bad stuff keeps happening. And that's one of the things I want to caution your listeners. It's not you. But what happens is sometimes we can develop this victim mentality, and now we become like a magnet for all these negative things that happen. And so, but I made a decision right then. I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to protect myself so this doesn't happen to me again. I mean, it's kind of, everybody has their different responses, but that was my response, right? So I'm like, I'm going to learn how to protect myself. But my life, though, because of my mindset, we ended up going through physical abuse and verbal abuse. One of my mom's boyfriends beat me with a steel choker chain for a dog. I mean, a fiberglass bow and arrow set, so the physical abuse, obviously the racial abuse, by the way, I never get one day I heard a poem, by the way, that helped set me free racially. It goes like this, if it's okay if I give it to you real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Fleecy locks and black complexion, Cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same. Rise so tall as to reach the pole, or to glance at the ocean at a span. I must be measured by my soul. The mind is the standard of a man. All of a sudden it dawned on me, it's not the color of my skin, the texture of my hair, or even the neighborhood that I grew up in. Rather, it's what I put in my head. And what I teach when I do my seminars is what you put in your head that affects your heart, that determines what comes to your hand. And if you want more coming to your hand, you got to put more impactful information in your mind that affects your heart. So, but at any rate, like I said, my life was a mess. Tried to commit suicide on 2 occasions before I was even 12 years of age. And I always say, I'm so glad I failed. You know, there's some things you're supposed to fail at. But if you're listening to me right now out there and you're in a hopeless situation like I was, let me just tell you, I mean, suicide, you probably heard it. It's a permanent solution for a temporary problem. And back then I couldn't see any further than what was happening. And because all these things, they started compounding, I just started thinking, man, you know, there's no reason to be here. No, you know, why even give it a shot? And so I'm so glad, like I said, the hopeless situation, I'm so glad by the way, I give people an acronym for HOPE. I got several of them, but I'll just give you one real quick and then turn it back to you. But HOPE, HOPE, hold on, pain ends. See, people need to understand that. Hold on, pain ends. See, all the pain that I was experiencing, by the way, I am now living a life not of my dreams, beyond my wildest dreams. And so I want to encourage you, listen, don't throw in the towel, don't give up. So hope means hold on, pain ends, but also HOPE, my acronym stands for have only positive expectations. Ooh, I'm getting excited now. So, by the way, one of the reasons people say, man, I've never met a guy who loves his own speaker. Well, but I don't know what other speakers do, but Lois, when something changes my life, I make it into a message that I can give the people, because if it changes me, I know it can change other people. And so anyway, so I'm saying I went from all that degradation, and my main message in life, by the way, is every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess or mediocre person, because some people are like, I'm not a mess. Okay. Every master was once a mess or at best mediocre. Therefore, every mess or mediocre person can one day be a master. Now watch this. Whenever a mess or mediocre person becomes a master, they now have a message that if they market to the masses, they can make millions. And that is my story.
Amazing. Okay, so you went into martial arts. That must have been the next part of your career. Theology must have come later. But what was it? So that's a tremendous drive to get to the 10th level black belt. What was it that really did for you at that point? And interesting that from there you went into learning theology. So how did that happen? And what did that do for you?
Well, great question. First of all, like I said, it started in my mind. And that's why I always tell people the power of the mind. I've got a 21-day breakthrough challenge that I really talk about this in more detail. But one of the things is this: once I make up my mind to do something, circumstances align themselves in my favor. When I say I can't, my mind stops trying. But when I ask, how can I, my mind keeps searching till it finds a way. There's a way and I will find it. And if not, by the grace of God, I'll just have to invent it. And so not even realizing that, but the power of the mind. So I made up my mind, okay, I'm going to learn how to protect myself. I got to do something different. I had, like I tell people, a Popeye moment. I've taken all I can take. I can't stand no more. And so my mother, now people say it's coincidence. Well, I like to say coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. So my mother wins a free month of karate lessons, Shotokan karate. And I have 4 brothers. None of them went. I was the only one. I would go and watch my mom. And man, they were kicking and screaming and hollering. I thought, man, this is pretty good. Well, mom's free month ran out. And free is great, but people are really serious. They'll make some investment. So mom started paying every month. Now, after month, she got better and better. Now, Lois, you have to ask me the question, because one month she got what I call too good. You got to ask me, what does that mean? What is too good?
What is that?
Okay. Her and her boyfriend got in a fight and she knocked him out. So when I saw this 5'1" woman knock out a 6'1" guy, I was like, whoa, I don't know what this karate stuff is, but this is my ticket. And by the way, this is why I tell people why you have to have a breakthrough, because see, when there's somebody connected to you, when they see you have a breakthrough, then they believe they can have a breakthrough. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is what I want. And so I got started. Now, to me, I gave it everything I had. I was working out 4 hours a day every day. And my in Japanese, you call your teacher sensei or instructor, and he had several different classes. I was part of all of them. So I mean, I was like, you don't understand, man. I mean, I got to learn this stuff. And I didn't even know there was a 10th degree black belt, by the way. I just wanted to learn. Matter of fact, I just want to learn how to fight. And they're like, no, we can't just teach you self-defense. We first have to teach you self-discipline. I was like, no. I just want They said, look, if we teach you self-defense, without self-discipline, you'll be like an uncontrollable weapon and you could destroy yourself, society, or both. And so I said, okay, well, whatever the self-discipline stuff is, if I got to learn it, okay, I'll learn it. The self-discipline is what changed my life forever, is what changed every aspect of my life. But I didn't know it. I came kicking and screaming because I wanted this, but I said, no, you got to have this. So anyway, so I got started in martial arts. And again, because of also learning the discipline part, we went all the way to the top and became a champion and so forth. And then that's when I started finding out after black belt, there's a first degree and second degree. And so I was like, okay, I'm already in this thing. It became part of my life, and especially the discipline part too. And then the confidence that, once you know it, which is amazing, by the way, before I got good in the martial arts, I got in a fight almost every day. Once I got good in the martial arts, it was like no more fights. It's like there's a different aura, right? It's like now, once you know what you can do, you no longer get sucked into these things, and no longer have to lower yourself, right? And but there's a different aura that you have, and all of a sudden life responds to that. So as a 15-year-old teenager, I just won this championship, and I'm proud of myself because I wouldn't fight with any teenagers. They were no competition. I fought with the grown men. So I'm thinking I'm pretty hot stuff, and so we're coming back from the van. I just won the championship. And so the girls are around me in the van, like, hey, you really beat those guys up and you're just a teenager. And again, I forgive me, my ego was so big. And as a matter of fact, I kind of blew my knuckles and brushed on my chest a little bit. So, well, I didn't want to hurt those old guys too much. I mean, my head was like, so my teacher, Japanese sensei, he was drinking sake, Japanese wine, and got drunk and literally swerving down the highway. And we're going through the mountains at the time. I lived in Pennsylvania. It was so foggy going through the Pocono Mountains. Literally, you couldn't see 6 feet in front of him. So he had the window rolled down, looking at the guardrail in the middle of the highway, and he was drunk. I'm like, hey, sensei, stop the van. We might wreck and die. 2 seats from me, this guy's like, man, if we die, we just die. I was like, wait a minute, what? Are you crazy? And I thought, yeah, he is crazy. But I never even thought about like I thought you had to get old like my mom or somebody before you thought about dying. And all of a sudden I was like, man, everything that I'm living for, is it going to matter? I mean, if I died right now, my sensei in his drunken stupor. And so anyway, make a long story short, it was a week later, some folks say, hey, we're just out inviting people, to church and so forth. And so I was like, I only get rid of these people. I go to church twice a year, Christmas and Easter, whether I need it or not. And so they said, well, but do you know, have you received the Lord? And I was like, well, no. They said, well, do you know that you go to heaven? I was like, well, no, do you know? They said, yeah. I said, well, can you come and show me? And so anyway, they showed me from the Bible. But when they got on this verse, Romans 5:8, but God commended his love toward us, I broke. See, what had happened, I built this hard shell. I've been hurt so much in life, like a lot of people I meet. I was hurt so much. I built this hard shell, and I was like, I was just in a rage all the time, right? Now, thank God the martial arts helped me to control it, have some control of it, but it was still there. And I'm like, my theme, Lois, was like, nobody cares, Now, if anybody cared, my mom cared, but see, because she didn't have a man, really there to help her, she worked 2 jobs, so she was never around, right? So it was like, so mom doesn't care, dad doesn't, society doesn't care, nobody cares, beating, tarred, and feathered me, threw me out in the middle of the field, nobody cares, and that was my theme. And I just walked around like, and then these people, I was like, you try to tell me like God loves me, like serious? And it literally melted me. And that was a changing point right then. And I believe today the world needs love. I think it's the most powerful thing that can happen. And I'll tell you, you didn't ask me this. I'm gonna tell you a quick story real quick about my mom. I got in a lot of trouble in school. I was about to get kicked out of public school. Now you bad when you're about to get kicked out of public school, but I just wanted attention. I didn't know how to get it except being bad. That got me attention. She put me in Catholic school to try to conform me. Well, that didn't work. I ended up getting kicked out of there. 2 kids jumped me. I beat them up, but the nuns didn't see them hitting me. So anyway, I come home. My mom's like, she was sleeping. She's woke up. She's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be at school. And I was like, I got kicked out. And this is my tough, mother, because she had to be tough. She had 5 boys, and I never saw her cry before. By the way, I never heard the words "I love you," and I'm sure she did, but she just, never. And so all of a sudden, she's like, "Boy, you about to drive me to an early grave. I'm trying to raise y'all, and I don't have a man to really help me." And then all of a sudden, she stopped and she started crying, and she said, "But one day, I know you're gonna make me proud of you." And I can't explain it, Lois. It was like something hit my heart. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Whoa!" And I made a decision that day. I was like, I will never get in trouble again in school. And from that day on, not only did I never get in trouble, graduated top of my class, never thought I would go to college, by the way, ended up going to college, graduated who's who, top of my class, dean's list and everything. Then they even asked me to stay to be a professor, and so it's just been incredible. So one day I was speaking somewhere, my mom came and she's like, "Son," she's like, "I'm gonna tell you something." She's like, "I'm just honored to know a man of your stature." I was like, "Mom." She's like, "No, seriously." She's like, "Son," I'm like, "It's amazing." I said, "Can I tell you something?" She said, "Yes." I said, "You are just reaping the seeds that you sowed." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You remember that time I got kicked out of school and you said to me, 'I'm about to drive you to early grade,' but you start crying." You said, "But I know one day you're going to make me proud of you." I said, "When you said that, that gave me like hope. That seed, I received it." And I said, "You're just receiving the harvest of the seed that you planted. So you said that, and I determined I was going to make that so." And so I teach people today, hey, if you don't have somebody that can sow powerful seeds in your life like that, learn to be the person that sows them in your own life. And that's what I learn to do every day. But let me stop talking here and let you.
I love that. And I think so many people, that's the message that's so important. If people don't see something in you, a possibility, you don't rise.
Yes.
And you don't rise to what you could be. And so we churn people a lot of times in organizations because we don't take the time to see potential and to plant those seeds. And I think as much as we do sales and marketing, planting seeds in our organizations, it's everything in terms of our future growth, because we're going to have to do much more with growing internally our people. So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you go about working with breakthrough mindsets for people. What does that involve?
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, I have to give a disclaimer. They call me Dr. Breakthrough. I have to say, as Dr. Breakthrough, I can't provide the breakthrough. I just prescribe the breakthrough. But when people follow my breakthrough prescription, God Almighty provides a breakthrough they desire and deserve. And a breakthrough, by the way, is exploding through barriers that at one time seemed insurmountable. What's amazing is that everything that I do today is like, I used to think it was impossible. Matter of fact, when I saw people in the martial arts doing stuff, I used to think that was impossible. And this is my message to people. And as long as I thought that way, it was. See, if you think you are beaten, you are. And if you think you dare not, you won't. If you'd like to win but think you can, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you will lose, you've already lost. For this powerful truth we find, success begins with a person's will. It's all a state of mind. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger woman or man, but sooner or later, those who win are those who first think and then know that they can. And so what happened was, and what I do is I speak to organizations and churches and groups, wherever there's people, right? Because I found out everybody needs a breakthrough, right? And if I can give you a breakthrough formula, and by the way, I am not the one that called myself Dr. Breakthrough. I was speaking with another, one of the top 5 speakers in the world, Dr. Willie Jolly. We were speaking at Howard University. He said, "Dr. Breakthrough," he said, "Dr. Stan," he said, "branding's everything." He said, "Man, you know, the way you explain breakthrough, you explain it better than anybody I know. You seem to have more breakthroughs. Every time I talk to you, it's like you're having another breakthrough." He said, "When you speak to your audience, you evoke this thing in them that they can." He said, so you're like a person that goes to a doctor and a doctor writes a prescription. He said, "You're the one, when they need a breakthrough, you're the guy with the prescription. So you should be Dr. Breakthrough." And I said to him, I said, "Well, Doc, I appreciate that. Those are kind words. I'm not sure that's so, but I'll promise you one thing. I'll live the rest of my life to make sure it is." And folks, can I help you with something here? The way I used to be, people would criticize me. I would internalize the criticism. People would try to compliment me and I'd push off the compliment. And I couldn't figure out why my life was so jacked up, right? And in essence, it was like I was receiving the bad. and I was rejecting the good. Most people today are so selfish, so into themselves. If they're saying something kind to you, they may have been touched by God. So you might just go ahead and receive that, because most of what I've accomplished, I want to get this across, I didn't believe I could do it. There was other people, and that's what I'm going to get. The main key of my life was having mentorship, mentors. But got surrounded with people who can see in me. There's a thing in Johari's window in psychology that teaches us that there's a part that we can't see that others can see. Now there's a part that we can see, they can see. But anyway, but the main part though is the part that we can't see, but they can see. And so being connected with someone, which I believe, by the way, one of our sincerest desires is to be connected to someone who can empower us to break through, to be, to do, and to have what we secretly know we can become and achieve. And so that's what my business model is. And so people bring me in to speak to over $1,000 to speak. When I'm preaching in churches, it was like, hey, I don't need anything. It's just, if you want to take offering, fine, but I don't, and then this, guy and the principal heard me and he said, look, can you come speak to our school kids, especially with that breaking the boards and stuff, which I know folks can't see anything, but they probably can hear. And so one of the things I do is I write on boards things that are hard, like this says limiting beliefs. And what I show my audience is right in the middle of the word beliefs is a 3-letter word called a lie. And so whenever there's lies that we believe in, we live a very limiting lifestyle. When there's lies we believe in, we produce a very limited business. When there's lies we believe in. And so it's going through your mind and going through, and the more I study, the more I find there's lies I was believing in that's been keeping me limited. Now, on the other side of the board, and even if you can't spell, right, it's limitless success. And I always ask my audiences, do you want to live based on your limiting beliefs like I did for a lot of my years? Or would you like to break through and live and have limitless success? And you know what? Everybody always says limitless success. I'm like, okay, but I want to tell you the secret though. It's not going to be easy, but will be worth it. So there's a barrier. And I used to think those barriers are made to stop us, but barriers are only made to stop. You're going to be really committed. Barriers. I know your audience can't see the board physically demonstrating that you now psychologically, I want you to break through whatever lies been trying to hold you back. Well, I'm just a black man in a white man's world. I'm just a woman in a man's world. I'm not educated enough. I don't come from a good enough family. I don't have a great background. I'm not a good speaker. I'm not a good, all these limiting things that we have, they're all lies that we keep telling ourselves and we keep rehearsing, but we got to break through. So Lois, can you say breakthrough time?
Breakthrough time.
All right, come on, give me a little more energy. Come on, breakthrough time.
Breakthrough time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we just broke the limits. You're listening, but I'm holding the board. We broke the limits right off our beliefs. And when you break the limits off your beliefs, you now can have limitless success. And that's what's been happening in my life. I am shocked at the things that are happening, and they keep getting bigger and better and bigger and better all the time. And my friend, that's what I deem for you. So I say it this way. If you believe like I believe, and if you do like I do, what happens for me can happen for you. But because I'm not the standard, it can happen even better for you. That's my desire. And that's what I train people. And I'm so honored to have people that I've mentored that have exceeded me in some areas. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. So I'll close with this and turn it back to you. But mentors are the fastest, easiest, most reliable way of learning any skill. I said mentorship and having mentors is the. So looks like we froze up a little bit there. Okay, yes, there we go.
You would just repeat that, please. Right. Yeah. Could you repeat that, please? Start from having mentors.
All righty. So mentors are the fastest and easy. See, when I started in the martial arts, I tripped over my own feet. Okay, did I go out again?
You're there.
Right, let me say it again. So mentors are the fastest, easiest, and most reliable way of mentoring any skill, mastering any skill. So when I walked into the martial arts class many years, oh my goodness, anyway, many decades ago, 5 to be exact, I tripped over my own feet. They actually called me Mr. Baboon. They made fun of me. They laughed at me. But there was something intestinal fortitude that I had that said, laugh now, because one day I'm gonna whoop all y'all. And that day came. But anyway, but in Japanese, your teacher, that's like a martial arts sensei. All the great athletes, they all have what? Coaches, trainers, and so forth, and mentors. So mentors, again, the fastest, easiest, most reliable way of mastering any skill. Most of what I did, I didn't believe I could do it. It was the mentors, it was the people around me. He's mentored Plato. It was Plato who then mentored Aristotle. Aristotle mentored Alexander the Great. It was Andrew Carnegie who mentored Napoleon Hill, who wrote the powerful book, Think and Grow Rich, which, by the way, I've got a copy here. There's a new Think and Grow Rich, Ted Siubel, who actually asked me to write in that book. Is the only person ever allowed by the Napoleon Hill Foundation to write another sequel or finish up on it. But anyway, so Andrew Carnegie mentioned Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book, like I said, Think and Grow Rich. Now think about this. And then it was Napoleon Hill who mentored W. Clement Stone, and then W. Clement Stone mentored a guy named Jack Canfield, the co-author of the $1 billion book series Chicken Soup for the Soul. Benjamin Graham mentored Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett, of course, has mentored millions. It was a guy named Dr. Benjamin Mays who mentored a young teenager named MLK, who then became known as Dr. Martin Luther King, and he, of course, has mentored millions. It was Bill Bailey, one of my main mentors, who also mentored a guy named Les Brown. Les Brown, as a matter of fact, spoke to over 80,000 people in Atlanta, Georgia home, and he now has mentored millions. Bill Bailey also mentored a guy named Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn became known as the foremost business philosopher. He mentored millions of people, and one of those, he mentored a young guy, tens of millions. I mean, in the greatest book ever written, Moses mentored Joshua, and Joshua mentored the 3 million Israelites. It was Elijah who mentored a guy named Elisha. It was Elisha who mentored a widow woman who lost her husband and her children, and he's taught her how to have her own business. It was Paul who mentored a young guy named Timothy, and then my friend Jesus who mentored the disciples. And regardless of what your belief system is, but here's what he said: the works that I do shall you do also. So the mentee, you got to get this, the mentee has the potential of doubling what the mentor has done. And so, my friend, that to me, that's what just took me to a whole nother stratosphere. And I still have multiple mentors in my life today. And that's my greatest success. And that has opened doors for me to speak, to train, to write books, the things. It's just incredible.
Wow. On that note, Dr. Stan, I thank you so much. You have a powerful message, and boy, there are going to be a lot of people who will be grateful to learn about that. We'll have information about Dr. Stan Harris in our show notes. He has courses that you will no doubt want to take a look at. We'll have information about how you can find out about those in the show notes. So again, Dr. Stan Harris, thank you so much for being with us today. And for those of you who are listening, thank you for being with us on Building My Legacy podcast. Be sure to visit our website at www.buildtomorrow.com and our social media places as well at buildtomorrow.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell button above. Leave comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And visit our other social media links as well. Thanks much.